George Washington, 1732–1799, occupies an unparalleled position in the history of the United States as the nation's first president and a defining figure in the creation of the American Republic. His leadership, both in wartime and peacetime, laid the foundational principles for democratic governance in a fledgling nation. Beyond his military prowess and political acumen, Washington's commitment to the rule of law, civic virtue, and the restraint of executive power set enduring precedents that continue to shape the presidency and the broader democratic institutions of the United States. Early life and military career. Born into a Virginia planter family in 1732, Washington grew up on the edges of colonial aristocracy, receiving a limited formal education but developing a deep familiarity with land management, surveying, and leadership skills that would later serve him in both military and political arenas. His early experiences included service in the Virginia militia during the French and Indian War, where he demonstrated both courage and strategic insight despite setbacks such as the defeat at Fort Necessity. These formative experiences honed his resilience, ability to command respect, and understanding of military logistics and strategy, which would later prove essential during the American Revolution. Washington's reputation as a disciplined and principled military leader emerged most prominently during the Revolutionary War, 1775–1783. Appointed Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army by the Second Continental Congress, he faced daunting challenges: underfunded troops, shortages of supplies, and a lack of formal military training among many officers. Despite these obstacles, Washington's strategic vision, steadfast commitment to the revolutionary cause, and ability to maintain unity among fractious colonial forces enabled decisive victories, most notably at Trenton and Yorktown. His leadership during these years exemplified both courage and moral authority, earning him the enduring admiration of his contemporaries and cementing his place as a national symbol of perseverance and integrity. Presidency and democratic precedents. When the United States Constitution was ratified in 1789, Washington's unanimous election as the first president reflected both his widespread popularity and the belief that he could provide a stabilizing influence for the new government. Washington approached the presidency with a strong sense of responsibility and caution, understanding that his conduct would set critical precedents for those who would follow. He recognized the delicate balance between asserting executive authority and avoiding the appearance of monarchy, a concern deeply rooted in the colony's recent experience under British rule. One of Washington's most significant contributions to American democracy was his establishment of a nonpartisan approach to governance. Although political factions were already beginning to form, he consciously sought to rise above partisanship, relying instead on a cabinet of capable leaders representing a range of perspectives, such as Thomas Jefferson as Secretary of State and Alexander Hamilton as Secretary of the Treasury. This approach reinforced the notion that the executive branch could mediate between competing interests while maintaining the public trust. Washington also formalized several key practices of presidential leadership. His use of the veto power, though exercised sparingly, demonstrated respect for the legislative process while affirming the executive's role in safeguarding the Constitution. He established regular channels of communication with Congress and advocated for policies that balanced federal and state authority. Additionally, Washington's decision to serve only 2 terms created a voluntary limit on presidential tenure, embedding a norm of peaceful transfer of power that became a cornerstone of American democratic stability until codified in the 22nd Amendment nearly 150 years later. Domestic policies and national unity. Washington's administration faced the formidable task of consolidating federal authority while managing regional and economic tensions. The fledgling nation grappled with war debt, contentious debates over fiscal policy, and disputes over the location of the national capital. Washington's support for Alexander Hamilton's financial program, which included the federal assumption of state debts and the establishment of a national bank, reflected his commitment to creating a stable economic foundation for the country. These measures, though controversial, helped secure public credit and strengthened the federal government's legitimacy. Moreover, Washington's leadership in domestic affairs emphasized unity and national cohesion. He sought to mediate between conflicting regional interests, particularly in the debates between northern and southern states, and urged citizens to prioritize the collective good over sectionalism. His farewell address of 1796 encapsulated this ethos, warning against the dangers of political factions and permanent foreign alliances while promoting the values of civic virtue, national unity, and adherence to the Constitution. This address remains a foundational document in understanding the principles that guided early American political thought. Foreign policy and neutrality. Washington's presidency also set precedents in foreign affairs. Facing European conflicts, particularly the war between Britain and France, he adopted a policy of neutrality, articulated in the Proclamation of Neutrality, 1793. This approach emphasized that the United States, still fragile and militarily limited, should avoid entanglements that could threaten its sovereignty and economic development. Washington's insistence on neutrality established a framework for American foreign policy that prioritized national interests and pragmatic engagement over ideological alliances, a principle that influenced U.S. diplomacy well into the 19th century. Legacy and influence. George Washington's legacy extends beyond his lifetime through the norms and institutions he helped establish. As a symbol of Republican virtue, he demonstrated that leadership required humility, accountability, and service to the public good rather than personal aggrandizement. His careful navigation of executive power, insistence on civilian control of the military, and efforts to foster national unity provided a blueprint for future presidents navigating the complexities of democratic governance. Historians frequently highlight Washington's ability to embody both authority and restraint, balancing the need for strong leadership with respect for the democratic principles enshrined in the Constitution. By voluntarily relinquishing power after 2 terms, he reinforced the revolutionary ideals of popular sovereignty and the impermanence of authority, creating a lasting precedent for the peaceful transfer of power that remains a hallmark of American democracy. Washington's life also illustrates the interplay between personal character and institutional development. His reputation for integrity, self-discipline, and prudence helped build public confidence in the new government, demonstrating that the legitimacy of democratic institutions often depends as much on the character of their leaders as on legal frameworks. This combination of personal virtue and institutional foresight ensured that the early American Republic could survive challenges that might have otherwise fractured it. Conclusion. In sum, George Washington's contributions to the United States transcend his role as the first president. His leadership during the Revolutionary War preserved the nascent nation, while his presidency established enduring democratic norms, including nonpartisan governance, the prudent exercise of executive power, and a commitment to national unity and civic virtue. By carefully shaping the office of the presidency and modeling Republican ideals, Washington provided a template for democratic governance that has endured for over 2 centuries. His life exemplifies the integration of personal character, strategic vision, and institutional innovation, marking him as a foundational figure not only in American history but in the broader study of democratic leadership. The precedents he set continue to resonate today, reminding contemporary leaders of the delicate balance between authority and accountability, ambition and restraint, in the ongoing project of democracy.